Okay, so we will start first um, the concept of why we need a microcontroller, how it evolves. To understand that, we go back again what we have learned till now. First, we learned basic electronics, a bit of analog electronics. Then we learned the basis of some of the digital, why digital is required, to complement the analog to make it more efficient, the purpose as well as the speed to achieve. So these are some small examples of digital uh, concepts yesterday. For example, yesterday we learned about numbering systems, which is binary, hexadecimal. That's the first thing we learned. Then we learned about small thing about storage, like a latch. So these are all things yesterday we learned. Now, what do we want with the data that we receive? For example, a sensor reads something, what we want to do it. A simple example would be a thermostat, a temperature controller, your air conditioner, or your heater. So you measure the temperature. If the temperature is, let us see if it's a heater. So if the temperature is less, turn on the heater. And the temperature is attained the sufficient temperature, what do you want to, then you turn off the heater. So there are two operations. You read the temperature input, and then you output some action to turn on the heater. That you can do with relay or with whatever we learned, like triac, we learned MOSFET. All the stuff are existing to turn on output. Now, I will just have to explain some basics, go back what we call as logical operations for you to understand why the microcontrollers, how it started, how it evolved, and why, what operations are really done. And so we learned yesterday, for example, the number systems, something like this. We learned yesterday the we call a binary number system. So what is a computer doing? I think you all would have studied in the class. They would have given input and process and output. This is what they must have taught you first as many of the controller or microprocessor or any operation. There will be input, there will be some operation, there will be output. Now the input, like sometimes the input is going like this. Second thing is it's coming back again from the output. It takes correction back again to input. So this is called a feedback system, closed loop system. There are many ways. We will see later stage when we go into it. First, we'll come to see. Suppose I read a temperature, some number I'm getting. Let us say number 20, number 23. So what is 23? 23 will be, I'm writing in, like yesterday, we talked in ASCII. We don't want to put in ASCII. We can put in hexadecimal directly. If hexadecimal, if I put number 23, this is 2 and this is 3. Yesterday we learned, recall here, for the sake of the others, I will say this is 2 to the power 0 or equivalent to 1. This is 2, this is 4, and this is 8. So this is actually 23, what I call as hexadecimal number, not in decimal. Okay. So this is the temperature I'm reading. Now, what are the operations I have to do? So some of the operations we know when we started school, calculation is what we learned is addition, subtraction, division, division. Let me put that same way what you learned, division, and then multiplication. This is what we learned from school time. What is mathematics or what is a computation done? So same way, if you look at an example, if I measure a temperature, so measure temperature, subtract set temperature, there's a minus, Then if result is measured temperature and set temperature, if some temperature, measured temperature is higher than the set temperature, the result is positive or greater than 0, then turn off. This is what we'll write in simple English sentence, we give a command. I recall the first time when I learned computer language, my professor, it was actually on APL language, whatever language may be. He asked the first class, you go and tell a child to take bath. So if you tell that correctly, then you will understand what is a computer and how you have to give instructions. So normally, every one of us started telling, yeah, we tell child go there to the bathroom and open the tap and take bath. Okay, then the question the teacher asked, if the bathroom door is closed, what to do? Then we went inside. Then okay, open the door, go. Then take bath, open the tap. If there is no water, what to do? So there are a lot of things you have to see. Step by step instructions are required. You have to think ahead before giving instructions to make a particular process. I will come back to the word process now. Let us see in digital what all we do. We can do simple one. For example, ORing. We'll come back to this. I'm not going to addition all these things. We'll come later on to that. So what is simple can be done is ORing. This is one number. Another number is like this. For example, this is, I want to OR this. This number OR with this number. This is 1 or 1 equal to 1. 1 or 0 equal to 1. 0 or 0, 1. So here also 1 will come. Here also 1 will come. Here also 1 will come. Here 0 will come. This is a result of ORing. So OR is one of the basic. It has a simple level of addition also in sometimes. Not all the time. Sometimes. So OR is a function, very simple. You will use many times to do ORing. For example, relay is off, a particular relay, you want to turn it on, you will OR with that value. So you will know that particular bit, because one bit will respond to one output in your real life. This is one output, it's a relay 1, and this is output relay 2. So when you want to turn on, you will normally use a OR command. So remember, OR is a logical operation. What we are talking, logical operation. These are all called arithmetic operation, what we learned. Why it's required for us to understand now is to select the controllers and all. So don't think it's not required. So OR. Second one, what we call is the AND operation. These two are basic. Rest of them all derived from them. AND operation, same number, if I do it, 0, 0, 1, 1. I repeat the same thing here, so it's easy for you to understand. When I AND 1 and 1 equal to 1, 1 and 0 equal to 0, and 0, 0. 1 and 0 equal to 0, 1 and 0 equal to 0, 0, 0. So the result is 1. So then you have, you can read now rest of the things, exclusive OR, NOR, all possibilities are existing. These are all logical operations. Some of the logical operations are coming OR AND. Second one requires NOT or invert the whole thing. Suppose I invert this number, that will become 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 0. Whichever is the one, make it as, or we call it as complement. Complement also we call sometimes we call not the whole value. The symbols are, many times you use a symbol. Symbols also will come to know afterwards. For R, the symbol will be there like this, and the symbol will be like this. So this is a basic operation. You must know this. I think yesterday we took 8-bit. So this is one of the operations which you do, the decision-making process you do. For example, the output to turn on a relay. Turn off the relay, you will AND. You will AND that bit, make that particular bit 0, it will become 0. Even if it was 1, it will become 0 now because you are ANDing the value. Is this clear? I hope it should be very clear. Next one important thing is people make a mistake. Don't understand. is shift. Shift is very important. See, these are all important because we are going to read the different peripherals of the microcontroller when we select. So for that, these operations are important for you to know. Yesterday, we saw UART. They are doing the shift operation. When you come back to the next one, we must understand what is shift operation. Now I try to explain you what is shift operation with an example. 0111 1011. Now shift left operation. If I do this, if I shift one bit, this will become 1, 1, 1, 1. See, these 3 ones have come. This one has come here. This 0 will come here. This will come here, and this will come here. This will be blank. Now blank is normally added with 0. There's a default taken. Okay. Default is always shifted with 0 on the left side. Most of the microcontrollers, everything works with 0 shifting in. So this is shift left. And sometimes symbols, when you want to use it, you will use like this, shift left. Suppose this we call number A. A is not representing A. I'm talking some number AX. Let me put that way. AX. So I will put AX shift 1 equal to, let us say, BX. So this is a variable name. This is a variable name. AX shift it 1, then I get a BX. So the result of the BX will be like this. AX will be there. So this you must understand. This is shift left. Then another opposite occurs to this is a shift right. The same thing, if I put shift right, if I do shift right, what will happen is this 1 will disappear. Last one will become 1. The 0 will go to the position. 1 will come here. This one will come here. Then this, both the ones will come here. 0 will come here. Another new 0 will be shifted from left. So this is very important. Shift left, and this is shift right. Shift right is given with a 2 of the greater than symbol. So these 2 operations are very important. Shift right, shift left. Then you also understood the other logical operations are important. That logical operation I told as OR and AND. And of course not. These are 3 basic. Then you have exclusive OR, all the stuff you can read. Exclusive OR is 1. If both are 1, then it will be 0. OR is 1 or 0 will be 1. So these are all, you can read it afterwards. Very simple for you to understand the logic. So this arithmetic, you can add also numbers. Now multiplication. Also there are different methods. Mathematics, what you call algorithms. We'll come back to algorithms words. Today we are talking about all AI, artificial intelligence. They're all algorithms. So the algorithms, when you want to write algorithm, it's a method. It's a procedure to write. And an algorithm can modify its own procedure also. This is one advantage of algorithms. So when you want to use this, we call arithmetic and logic unit. So the first thing in any of the controller or process operation is the ALU, what you call arithmetic logic unit. Right now, we saw the example of just 8-bit. So when I did AND operation or OR operation or shift operation, it's on 8-bit. So this is called 8-bit processors. The ALU, which can do 8-bit at a time, ANDing, ORing, whatever it is, that's called 8-bit operation. You also have 16-bit processors, which were very popular in early 90s. Today, most of them are 32-bit processors. In real-time applications, we are using. But our processing capacity is 164-bit. For example, all the PCs you will see, DOS, Windows, or whatever it is, all are using 64-bit processing capability. So what is the meaning of this 8-bit 16? 16-bit means I can handle 16 output same time the condition. With one instruction, I can handle 16. So it is power, double power almost. Now, when I go for addition, arithmetic, we are not talked till now. Okay, arithmetic is plus, minus, multiplication, division. Multiplication, division is done by logical operation and plus, minus. Okay, and they are in binary when you want to practice it. In decimal, all of you know this operation, how to multiply. Similar logic you have to use for also in binary. But there'll be too much for us now to go. We'll come when I come to programming, we'll see. So this is the ALU. So very important for you to decide what type of ALU you require. From there only comes the controller. So arithmetic logic unit, what it does, it takes some inputs from different places, puts them together, produce the output. One number is there, another number is there, unset or set gives that output. That is the idea of the ALU. So when you look at the microcontroller or a processor or whatever you call the name, the processing unit contains basically the ALU. It is the power of the ALU which defines and how fast it can do, the speed of the ALU. What it does is like instruction based. Okay, now if you want to imagine a microcontroller, probably the best thing would be to do is to see something like this. Let me try to. Okay, now I hope you can see the screen. Now, this screen shows you. This is, for example, a chemistry lab. You all must have done a chemistry class, probably most of you. Otherwise, you can have a cooking table also. You can have, this is where the kitchen and the cooking table. So you have something here where, or a chemical industry, which makes chemicals. So which means you take two chemicals, put them in a container, mix them in a particular ratio, do some work like heating or whatever it is required, then give the output. So imagine that this is what is the content of any controller. So when you want to select a controller, you must know what it does first. So you need an instruction, for example, to make a particular a chemical, a tablet, let's say medical tablet, medicine tablet. So you need a program to be there where instruction given, step number 1, step number 2, step number 3, like that. And that's called a program. Now, then this step, who execute the step one after another. So every step has a time. So first minute you do the step, second minute do the step, third minute you do the step. Every minute one instruction you execute. In this particular example I'm telling, it can be 1 second, it can be 1 nanosecond, whatever it is. The instructions are kept by, for example, a timer which does, so which we call a crystal oscillator, which produces timing signal. That means every 1 second, it will produce the pulse. Every 1 second, the pulse will go to the program and ask to instruct the program. The instruction, first instruction must be executed, second instruction, third instruction. If fourth instruction, there is some problem, this result is like this, go to 10th instruction. This is what programming is about, whichever language you write. So this particular one is accumulator, what we call. This is a bowl, what you contain. You must have seen, you must have used pipette and burettes, everything in the chemistry laboratory, and you pour everything in one of the beaker. So this is probably the accumulator, what you call it, very common. Then you have something called ALU, is the brain, arithmetic logic unit. So this person has got the brain. To assist him, you have math coprocessors, all the stuff. So he cannot do complex mathematical calculation. He asks another person to do the calculation. So very important for you to know controller. You must know what is the capabilities of this ALU. People make mistake of selecting wrong controller, then finally landing up. And it's important for you to know because the cost as well as the how efficient your system works depending on this parameter. So very easy to understand like this. Now you have something called here in your local kitchen cupboard. You will have a salt, you will have sugar, you will have like this. So small containers will be there. They are called registers. Okay. Now if you study any of the controllers, you have registers. Some of them have too many cupboards register nearby. Maybe I'm lazy, then I want to keep everything nearby me to understand very clearly, quick to make the food. But then some people are quite fast. They want to keep their kitchen cupboard clean. So they may have only few cupboards, cabinets here, rest of them in the storeroom they will keep. But they can run fast, so they can run and pick up from the storeroom whatever required. They can bring directly from the storeroom to the kind of bowl, the beaker also, or the cooking vessel. They can bring directly from storeroom and put the cooking vessel. Some people prefer, no, I bring it from storeroom, keep a small stock here. From here I use it. These two are very different concepts. And these two controllers are used today. One is this particular one, memory-based architecture. That means what you call this ALU will use directly from the memory access very fast. There are certain controls. That's Motorola, for example. Motorola is based on the processor, and for example, the old, not the Intel. Intel is another side. Okay, Intel is a register-based operation, what you call, and Motorola is basically on memory. You can access fast. So, for example, you will know old Macintosh, all the computers were used for graphics. So graphics actually, you have to move in memory lot of data, not much operation, not only logical operation, not much mathematics. You need not find a square root of something or let's say sine of cos of something. Very seldom, very less. But then you have to move, manipulate only the bits and pixels. So you need memory. So all the graphics are very good. They will processors they use directly on the memory accessible. And Intel concept is register based, like all your Intel chips which are using Windows based also. But Windows is, operating system is different than the processor concept. But I think you must know both are available in the market for you to use today. But this is the most common 8051, for example, you will use whatever you're thinking of. Even microchip use similar to the architecture. They just add something more behind. So they are register based. So you must know how to select it. Second one is you also require whatever you produce, you must be take out. So you need a transport bus. This is called bus. These trailers. You require something your chemical factory manufactures that you take it outside of your premise. And you must bring the raw material inside and store in your storeroom also. So this is the actual one of the process. The same process done in your body also. Human body also has same process. If you recall, if you think your 10 minutes of your human body, same thing is done. Same thing is on controller. So when you want to select a controller, you want to do this, you must look, remember this architecture. These points are important. That's what the meaning of this. We come to the next important, I think it's a quite important one to understand now. I would like you to concentrate on this because you have come long way of coming up to sixth of this lecture, sixth lecture. Very patient you have been. You've been waiting, listening to whatever I say till now, but I think you'll get the benefit. So here you see, this is one of the microcontroller which you will use. You cannot learn IoT without knowing what is the microcontroller, what are the functional part of it. Okay, then only you can use efficiently. There's nothing wrong in learning, even if you're not going to do all the job by yourself. But if somebody is doing, you will tell them very clearly. For example, if somebody want to make a furniture, you go and tell them that this type of wood I know is better, use a teak wood. And I like this design, make this design. I want you to this varnish, this paint I want you to use. This all you are saying in real life. And you must say the same thing. So you must know what is availability. So that is what this whole exercise is about. Those who are not going to design tomorrow, also this idea is you must be aware of what is available. Otherwise, you can be fooled or you may choose the wrong option, which will not be useful to you. That's the reason we learn basics actually. Otherwise, easy to cut and paste and say, I have done a project. And the intention of this whole exercise we are doing is not that. So let me go and see now. And this will be a bit, so everything in one page. So, but I will explain you each one. Left side will be go. I told you the first thing is about, just a second. Yeah, first thing is about, I told you that is the, a timer is kept. The timer will tell immediately next instruction, go to next instruction, next instruction. And some small helpers are there, will fetch the instruction, come back, bring the material from your storeroom, everything. These are all helpers. These are bus, what you call the bus. Small, small vehicles you have to help you. Robots, example, will help you. So this, you need a timer. Timer generation is by crystal. I told you crystal is one type of material which when you vibrate produces electricity, or when you pass electricity it vibrates. So both are happening actually. So the crystal when it vibrates, you get a particular tuned frequency. So 1 pulse per second, this will give, for example, 1000 pulse per second is normally 1000 is not there. 1 million pulses per second, that is 1 megahertz. So normally, even the smallest controller you have nowadays will have minimum of 12 megahertz, 16 megahertz minimum, what I'm talking, 24 megahertz starting. And you have different type of controllers again coming into it. So you remember I told you different bits, 8-bit controller, 16-bit controller, 32-bit controller. 16-bit also popular today. It's not a question, it's not popular. For example, MSP controllers are all, most of them low cost levels, they're all 16-bit controllers. That is from Texas Instruments. Now your controllers like 8051 series, 8085, you might have heard that the old one. They are all 8-bit controllers. 8-bit controllers, they are also very effective. 80% of applications, 90% of applications will be completed with 8-bit controllers. But what happened the last 10 years, let's say 20 years probably, and last 10 years is the availability of 32-bit controllers become very cheap. So 32-bit controllers are most popular in all your controls. So there are many companies make for this. There are different names they give. So Intel also makes 32-bit controller. So we have another one which we call ARM, ARM, ARM. So ARM processor. So they have an ARM processor started probably 2000. Around that time was become popular. 2003, 2004 become really popular. The ARM first ARM 7 TDMI controller. They were had 32-bit controller. Today the whole thing comes to ARM introduced a variant called Cortex, CORTEX. So ARM Cortex. Most of the today processors are having ARM Cortex architecture inside. And we will come back to what is architecture. It's very simple to understand. Like I told you, there are some registers, there are some storeroom I keep, and there is a beaker which I call accumulator, and I have to bring chemicals. So I need a small buses or robots to go inside. How these work together, that is the architecture in simple terms. We will see some of them in detail. So first one is the timer we saw here. The timer, many of the controllers nowadays have an IRC. That means internal RC oscillator circuit. I told you already you can generate the oscillator without crystal also by using resistor and capacitor. So actually we call RLC, the one of the first oscillators designed with inductance also, which we learned the first lecture. But nowadays becomes RC, so they get quite stabilized. You get IRC crystal. Now timing there is a PLL circuits are existing, phase lock loop. I think it's a bit too much for you right now to understand. Those who are interested, mark it and tell me, then I'll explain sometime to you. So, which means the processors work today, let us say some of them, they say 240 megahertz. 240 megahertz, you cannot find a crystal working. You don't have. So, and people say 240 megahertz or 2.4 gigahertz, for example. Now, most of the controllers, the laptop or whatever it is, they're all talking gigahertz. In gigahertz to work, a crystal is not possible. So what they do, they make an RC oscillator. And assume, for example, I want to have, let's say 100 megahertz. Okay. Assume I want to have 100 megahertz, the speed of my timer, which the instructions will run. So that is my timer, 100 megahertz I want. So one instruction will take hundredth of microsecond, 1/100th of microsecond. That comes to almost 10 nanoseconds. 10 nanoseconds will be one instruction. The first instruction, my controller will execute. Second instruction, he will take another 10 nanoseconds. So this is what the 100 megahertz. So when you talk about 100 megahertz, I actually make a crystal base, a quartz, generate maybe 24 megahertz or 12 megahertz, and then use a RC circuit to hike it up to 240 megahertz. And then I use the phase lock loop, what you call as a, it locks, I think phase we studied, phase angle we studied. It's a bit complicated to explain in the words now. So in short term, you have now with RC oscillator built inside the CPU. Accurate enough if you're using normal temperature range. Normal temperature range, I would say, is 0 degrees to somewhere about 50, 60, 70 degrees. Not in the, for example, in defense and all tank, or even some of the agricultural equipment in other countries, you have to go minus 40 degrees Celsius. It must work. And it must go up to plus 90, 100. In your car also, some of them are very, in the dashboard, when you keep something, it's very hot in summer. When it's closed, the car completely is closed. So the temperature can reach really high. So you have to take care of this crystal, which has a temperature tolerance. Next we come back to this side, right side. I told memory. Here you must understand, I will explain you some about memory. It's very important to understand. Memory is two types of memories we have. I think I will close this to a little bit and I will start writing. Two types of memory we must know. Like I told you the cupboard example, we'll take the same cupboard example with a beaker and then IAL is standing there. Okay. Assume this is the what I'm going to have. So memory is one I told you here in the picture. What I showed you is the program memory, the instruction, how to make a particular chemical. This is a program memory. Now I have to, this program gives you instructions to me, and then I have to pick up the material and put it here. Now I require somewhere the local storage. This temporary what I manufacture also I want to store here. It's not a final product. I need a cupboard. Then I will take the final product and ship it outside. Now I need a program memory, which comes only what we call as a EEPROM. Then we call flash RAM. That's the latest one. That means, and you also have what one-time programmable OTP, not the other OTP what you're using. This is one-time programmable memory. So only once you can program your instruction, you will keep on doing the instruction. You will not change. So they are cheaper actually, and you will not come normally into the this level of you will not come unless you go to big companies for mass production level. Then only you use OTP. EEPROM is the one also that you can erase electrically. The program do it. Flash is something you can erase it by only signals, because the voltage required, high voltage required to erase is inside, built inside that. So most of them use flash now. So important for you to know how much the instruction memory and the data memory. Data you want to store also. In our case, for example, temperature 23, and you want to keep a table, for example, a thermistor, what is the resistance and what is the voltage. If it is not linear, I want to calculate them. So I want to keep a table inside there. So tables I want to store a data memory. Inside data I want to save. So data memory normally is not a flash. It's a million times you want to read and write. Like your PC and all, you're typing so many things. You'll erase it for every second something. But this flash you cannot use erase every time. The flash, the way it is made cheaper, because made cheaper, It can be used probably 10,000 times you can erase, not more than that. Normally, most of them are used for 10,000 times. So you can reprogram your main device, whatever you're making, only 10,000 times. More than 10,000 times, you cannot do it. But your data, you must be able to write so many times data. So data is called RAM normally. RAM is called random access memory. Most of you know, so I will not continue there. Second important thing, what you will use to store the parameters. And you have something called FRAM also, which you will not know right now. Second one is called EEPROM, electrically erasable PROM. This memory you require to store your tables, calibration values. Suppose you have got a calibration value. You're not going to calibrate. You're going to counters you have got. You want to know how many pulses has come from this particular wheel or something. You want to store the count the pulses. You want them, you erase the count after probably 2 months, 3 months. The count can go up to millions. So how to store it? So this to store, because the power goes off, it will disappear. You don't want the power goes off. You don't want it to disappear. You want to store inside. Then you will use this so-called EEPROMs. EEPROMs normally have somewhere about 100,000 and it can go up to 1 million, depending on the type we are buying. Normally 100,000 is common to accept. So you have to know the memories. Some controllers have all these type memories in the same chip also. They give you some memory of EEPROM, some flash they give you, RAM they give you, default, all of them. So depending on your application, you must know how much you require, size you require. So this is important for the memory selection. Then we come back to next. This is what I explained you here, memory. Then we come back to input output. Like I told you, you want to a simple example would be to show you on the input output. This is my controller chip, whatever chip I'm using. There is one comes is called IO port. So here what I will do, I just draw the diagram what I will use exactly. So don't worry about it. See, what I'm doing is I'm giving this is a controller, one of the input port. I make it as output port. So if I make it high here, this will become high here. So it will drive the NPN transistor. So it will conduct this and relay will switch. We learned this already in our law. So this is one of the simple example how to connect a relay to your microcontroller. Same way you will see the other options. Inputs are coming, switches are coming, so many sensors. We will learn slowly. So it's important to have an input output. So input output directly can come from a controller, or it can go through what we learned shift. Shift we learned, shift register we didn't learn till now, but we learned about latches. So it can go through the latches also. The controller can attach to several latches, and the latches can turn on the relay or turn off the relay. So these are two options. In small applications, you'll prefer to control your relay, everything from the controller itself. So you must have enough IO ports available. So that is a thing. What is IO is input output is about. Then let us see the next one. What we have is we'll come back to this capture, compare, and PWM. This we'll learn shortly after this. Maybe I think we'll go directly because it's very important for you. Without whether you use Arduino or whether you use any controller, this is very important for you. Believe me, it's so important. You people don't know. So you have. I will draw this to. So you have a timer. This timer is not the one that generates the instruction sequence. not that megahertz and all. This is a timer that I can use it. As a user, I can use the timer. Suppose there is a pulse coming inside here. This is a pulse coming from a wheel. Suppose I got a rotating wheel. I put a hole or something like that and put a magnetic pickup sensor or something. So one rotation will be, let us say, I got 24 holes. So 24 holes is one revolution. The example I'm giving. This is my job to find the revolution. Now I want to find the speed of it or how many cycles it has completed. Both I want. It can be applied, similar principle can apply to water, pipe, water coming, water measurement, electricity measurement, whatever you take. This is an example I want to have. So what I will have, I need a timer to work. So I need a timer inside. Then what feature I want in the timer? Timer is a normal timer. I must be able to start. Timer is 000, like you have seen the timer. It will start counting 1, 2, 3 like this. That's a timer. When I start, it will start counting like stopwatch, what you have, for example. Instead of in my hand, I start the stopwatch. When the pulse comes, you start. One is a counter. So one function I want is a counter function. Next function I want timer. Counter will start counting 1, 2, 3, 4 every time. Timer will start, whether pulse comes or not, it will count. Suppose I make it to count timer only whenever this comes. Whenever rising edge comes, you start the timer. Lowering edge comes here, stop the timer. This I'll give start timer, this I give stop timer. Then it'll give you, this timer must have a resolution. Let us say it has got 1 microsecond resolution. So this I start 0 microsecond. When I come here, probably I'll have 4,000 microseconds. So here is 0 microsecond count. This is 4,000 microseconds. So I can see easily the pulse width. The pulse width equal to 4,000 microsecond or 4 milliseconds. 4 milliseconds the pulse width. The counter I can count 1, 2, 3. The counter will give, when I start counting, when I stop counting, it will give me how many pulses have come. If I want to measure a frequency, then I have to stop at another racing edge. Here I will stop. Then I will get the frequency, not the pulse width. So this operation, what I was doing right now. So here I'm doing actually capture. You capture the rising edge or lowering edge. This is called a capture function. So I will have the timer to use a capture function to measure the period, all those functions. It is very important for me to know the capture is available. And there are many methods you can do capture. This is capturing the value of the timer. That's what that is. Capturing particular timer value. So now second one is compare. A compare. That means if you have understood this example, you have got another timer, only timer running. Now I want to actually put a pulse width modulation. Okay. What I need first a timer to start at 0, output high. Then I want to put a count here 500. When the timer reaches 500, put it low. Then again, when the timer reaches 1500, put it high. Then reset again. So what will happen? This will be 500. This will be 1000. So if I change this value 500 to 1500, different value, I'll get different pulse width. How much time it is high or how much time is low. And you go on continuing because I say it's continuing. So this is called what you call as compare. You compare the timer with some other value. So this facility you use as a timer. The problem is these are all not taught to you. You will learn hard way of sitting with someone and designing something. Then you will understand what is the use of this compare and capture. All the controllers, most of them give this compare and capture. Sometimes you have to understand how many channels I require compare, how many channels I require capture on your design, how many signals are coming inside. This is where we miss the boat and we get ended up. So that's the reason I explained to you. You understand a timer comes, it can be used as a simple timer, a timer. The timer can be used also as a counter. Okay, a timer can be used with a capture function of finding the frequency, period, all you can do it. Whereas with the compare function, the timer can generate output signals of pulse trains, PWMs, square waves, whatever you call. Now, some company like NXP has brought what you call a state timers. What they call state timers. The timer will react differently with the different states. Let me not explain. Those who are interested, go. Now, many of them are giving similar timers. Now, idea is now you see, timer is most effective because it uses capture and compare function. Now, there can be input masks, output masks. That means when the timer should do when this particular switch is pressed. So that's the input you control also. At that particular condition only the timer will start working or the capture will start functioning. Not only this switch plus that switch, both must be on, then only the timer will start capturing. This all the conditions you can put, how many of the input masks there. Same way, output also you can give a condition. When this reaches this, you make the output, change the output automatically from one level to another level. So these are all the timers, use of a timer. You have to know very carefully. It's now you understood a little bit about what is the timer function. Let us see some other. So I explained you right now. IO, capture, compare, PWM. Let's come to interrupt. This is another one of the things very important. For example, your mother is cooking at home, then suddenly your small child goes and says, "I want some water, give me." So mother will stop the cooking, will go and give her a glass of water and come back and continue the cooking. This is important because the child cannot wait there without having water immediately. So this is called interrupt. Many times you require interrupt. So you have a main program working actually, your instruction. This is the main program. And it will jump to interrupt routine when a particular, let's say, a pulse comes. A particular, this is called interrupting signal. So it will do this routine and come back afterwards. One of the examples, when the pulse comes here like this high, it will go to count the pulse. You are not using counter here, you're using IO. So you have a CPU here. I'll give you an example to you. You have a CPU here. There's an input port, not a timer, input port. When the input port, you are setting to make an interrupt on the rising edge. The input port, you give a command here, instruction, make interrupt on rising edge. So interrupt is a separate function available to you in the controller. There are many types of interrupts. The one I show you here is the GPIO interrupt. Normal timer also has an interrupt. AD converter will have interrupt. So many interrupts will be there. Because interrupt means they are saying you have given me some job, I completed my job, I have to report to you. That's called interrupt. And there's a must. Without interrupt, nothing will work. So you have to understand how to work with the interrupt routine. And the interrupt is very efficient. Very efficient. It's not difficult, very efficient. You have to understand only. And there are two classifications of interrupt: maskable interrupt, non-maskable interrupt. Certain interrupts you cannot disable it. They are prior interrupt. For example, there is a fire alarm comes in the kitchen, your mother will run away from you. There is no way. That is interrupt. That is non-maskable interrupt. This is absolutely required for the system to execute that. Maskable interrupts of many are there. Like you go there, ask for tea or coffee, she will say no. This interrupt, I will not give you. Because I'm busy now cooking, I will not give you tea or coffee right now. So these are all maskable interrupts. So, example, so GPIO directly can be used as one of the counter function. If you use this, the interrupt routine will what it will say, increment counter, increment my count 1. My count is a variable, I put increment my count. Every time this pulse comes, rising pulse comes, I don't need a counter separate as a device inside my controller. I can use a GPIO and interrupt facility to make a counting by my software itself. This is one of the interrupts. So interrupt, you have to understand how many interrupts available in the particular controller before thinking of it. The next one is called a DMA. A DMA is a important thing, but many of the small level program or designers, you will not come across DMA unless you go for a high resolution graphics, cameras handling, data transfer directly with a high speed. You also have camera data directly be transferred in IoT. So in that case, you need to understand what is DMA. DMA is direct memory access. So what happens, we studied that any operation, we told a controller will have input, process, and output, right? This is what we learned. So we have input must come here, it must process it, and then output will go. Sometimes input comes here, it must be stored directly in memory with little or no. Input will come through this only. It will come to the processor only, but processor will not do process. You'll give access to you to store the memory. See, the memory is also shared by the processor, but it will allow you also to store external device to share this memory. So memory, you have one more device directly here. Let's say camera is there. It want to store the data here directly to the memory, which he will access. So this is one of the example of DMA. So you should allow DMA to happen. You should allow access of the memory what is having from outside directly instead of going through him, because time will be wasted because he's not going to process any data about it. So DMA at every peripherals you have will have, for example, data is coming through some serial and you want directly store in memory. You don't want the CPU to worry about it. You can use a DMA. So DMA is important when you go for high speed devices and high data devices. Now, let us see next one. Nowadays, most of things have switches and all touch sensing capacity, whatever you call, becomes a. So, for example, this particular controller has a touch interface directly. You can attach any small parts directly. When you touch it, it will detect automatically the switch as a switch. We come back to here, AD, DAV. Yesterday we saw already. Very good. So we will not go for it. You must know how many bits resolution AD, how many channels it has got. Okay. Now, this you must understand. This is something of pulling for us. Sometimes we don't know in the beginning. So you have to give some time to understand. See, now the question is, all the controllers will have inside. This is a main controller. It will have inside directly. This is a CPU or whatever you call. We'll come back to the reason CPU or controller, what is called afterwards. Now, this is the AD channel. The AD will have multiple channels here. The input. This is channel 0, channel 1 channel. And but you'll have only one AD. Only one conversion will be the AD. So they'll have 8 channels, but you can only sample one at a time. You have to start conversion this, conversion this, conversion this, conversion. So this is called a multiplexer built inside actually. It is a mux built inside. Some of the controllers have 2 AD converters with 2 muxes also. So AD0 you will have, AD1 you have. So there are advantages because you want to do simultaneously both of the analog channels. You want to simultaneously do them. There is no other way out. So if you make a mistake of selecting only one, especially high speed processing when you go for it, you require this to understand really how many analog digital converters they have and how many muxes they have. So This mux is different than converters they have. Same way, DA converters normally they have most of them only one. Otherwise, you have to add additional devices with that. We'll come back to the additional devices, how to do. Now, we'll come back to something other peripherals. UART yesterday we have seen. So we have to understand this SPI, I2C, CAN, USB. These are all commonly used now, effectively. Some of them controllers, they have also MAC, the Ethernet MAC controller, media access controller is called MAC. So Ethernet port also, some of them have, but mostly people prefer Ethernet to be outside of your main controller. So that's more efficient and better. But these all the peripherals we have to learn now. Timer, we have already learned the functions of capture, compare, PWM all can give. SED is a state timer which I told, we will not go into it specific to this. I will have to cover this SPI. We'll have some questions till now because it's going to be in something of explain the protocols. This comes to protocols line, except in this RTC and the watchdog. So this I will explain. Any questions till now you have? I like to have a 2 minutes break. Talking 1 hour continuously, it's a bit of tough asking. So give me 2 minutes break, and then you, by the time you put on the chat box, what are the questions, or I will open it up. You can talk with each other. I think if you can help me, that will be great help. Madam, you're there? Sobna ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just give me a couple of minutes. You can
Okay.
just hold on, please. I think I'm back again. Uh, I think first I would thank you patiently listening to what all we talked till now. This part is simple but quite important. So I will repeat the content of what we talked till now before continuing the next 3 or 4 peripherals. What is the use? How they will use? So the first one we talked today. Uh, just a second. First of all, anybody can tell, is it really boring for you too much it is? Or is it interesting? No feedback I'm getting from you people. Absolutely no feedback. Can I get some feedback from you?
Mauna, can you give some feedback? Nandini V,
Some,
Bhavana.
because only one unidirectional we are having the program, even though we have around maybe 16 people, 15 people. Still, now it continues again unidirectional. Will be, I cannot get understanding whether you really getting benefit or you're sitting there because of your teacher told to sit. This I want to understand. We can make it faster and close it. If you're really getting benefit only, I would love to spend time. Or if the direction you want to change it, yes. A bit complex. Okay. I think like it is complex. It's difficult. I think, yeah, go. Tell me, please.
Snega, or at least someone just give the feedback whether you have understood it or not. Please give your feedback, put it in the chat box. Or this done on your videos. Any one of you turn on your videos and then tell your opinion.
I think it's important that you should tell. One person has told it's a bit complex. Uh, uh, because I don't really mind even if 10 benefits, but I think it's no benefit, then we have to think about a method how to make you understand. Because these are important according to me. Otherwise, when I start write some programs and show you something blinking, and how will you do a project? So some of you want to do the project. So I think you should open up and talk now, whether we should continue this or what direction we should take. Or you already know all these things, because some people told, one person has commented it is complex. Can you explain me which part is complex? At least one hint, so I'll understand.
Just use your chat box. Students, use your chat box. Use your chat box. Use your chat box, participants. Because we need feedback. Without feedback, we can't continue the process, no? We need some feedback.
I think you're all young, but I think you should understand. From now, it will get more serious than till now. Okay, I can understand you don't understand much of analog electronics and stuff, but this is about normal basic requirements to understand what a controller will do. Tomorrow you will use any project you want to use it. You want to measure a speed, you want to measure uh, count, pulses, everything. You must know the basics at least. Okay, microcontroller bus is new. Yes. Okay. You're having difficulty in microcontroller. Microcontroller needs a memory. Let me put that way around. Let us open your, if those who can open video. I think it's good to see you the faces and talk. Those who cannot, I think that's acceptable. Use the chat box. There's no problem. Because if you feel difficulty in controller, we have to continue the controller to explain the peripherals. Because these are the peripherals you'll be using, whichever controller you're using. See, there are one way of doing it. Somebody has done a project, you copy it and take it and submit it is one. You will not be useful tomorrow when you go and do anywhere, any industry or anything you want to do, it will not be useful. So you must understand the basics. I think today we told a controller has memory to store the instructions, and the memory is called flash memory, FLASH. Then you require some RAM memory. So memory is one, must be clear now at this use. Second, we talked about some of the peripherals. You need an input output line. Example given to, for example, to turn on a relay. And the third one, we require some timer. So timer, I told you, basic function of capturing a signal, the time, when it happens. A signal is a digital signal, what we call a pulse rising edge or lowering edge. Then you compare the time. At particular time, this should happen. This output must go. This particular time, this output must change like this. That is a compare. So if you cannot follow this, how will you understand next SPI, I2C, and all other protocols? Will be too complex for you. If you miss that, you cannot store your memory. Even if you use any of the processor, you will use the EEPROM. So the example will be the EEPROM to store in the data. You want to store some counters. So how are you going to do that? How are you going to understand that? So let us clear this part of what we talked in microcontrollers. If you want, I will put on the board again to you what mainly we talked about. Then I think you can see whether you can understand again. So we talked about this is a microcontroller. We talked about it needs a memory. It needs program memory. See, you know, program memory same. You're buying a cell phone with so many GB flash, right? And program memory is normally flash. You buy 16 GB, 13 GB. Here we are talking not in GB, we are talking kilobytes. Normally all the controllers. GB is used only in the very high-end processing, what we have. Flash, then you have RAM also. RAM also is there. For example, your PCs, your laptop, you buy 4 GB RAM, 8 GB RAM. If you're using games, you like to have 16 GB RAM. So that's the same RAM we are talking here. Then we talk about input output lines, input output port we talked. So input output port, how many is available for me is also important feature. This can be in the microcontroller, or you have to multiplex this input output. You have to expand it. You have to use additional chips to expand it. That is what we talked about latches in the earlier class, last class. Then we talked about timer. In timer, we talked about two functions. One is capture, another one is compare. This is important feature because a timer can be used, timer or counter. Both we require. Without this, we can't do any operation. Then we talked about analog and digital. Analog to digital or digital to analog. To convert, say a temperature, thermistor value, how to convert into number. So this much features we talked now. We talked in addition to this interrupt functions, very little. Because interrupt you will use in any processor you're using, any processor, name any processor, you will use interrupt function. So interrupt is something in the input comes and that you have to do something emergency work. Leave the other work, what you are doing. I think now is it clear for you this much I talked or still it is complex for you? Because interesting, there are only 3-4 people have, 2 people have posted in the chat box also, and that also doesn't look like.
Anything should be repeated? This participants, anything should be repeated? Have you understand all the operations? How the timer occurs on capture, how the timer occurs on comparator, and timer occurs on counter. Please put it in chat box. Please put it in chat box, anyone?
But I think some of you have electrical backgrounds. There is no need of background for this, what I explained. I explain how a kitchen works. I don't think you look at background is required to understand this. That is my worry, number one, because background is not required to understand if you take it as simple what I told the word. Instead of comparing what you learned in the class or what other your colleagues must have learned in their subject, I think you should have forget all those things. Probably that is the only way to come up in life, is to not listen to your colleagues or others thinking they know everything, because you must give a chance to yourself to learn in simple terms. So I would say, because it won't be complex. I don't know what is complex till now. So I think probably I appreciate very much that you're spending your time, but I think on the reversal, I also spend my time to explain to you. I don't prepare much because most of the things I'm telling you from my experience and how I learned, how I use it daily, day-to-day life. So it is easier for me, but still I spend the 2 hours time with you and every session. That is also important time I'm spending on you. So my interest is to know whether it is useful to you. If it is not going to be useful, it's only forced on reason you need a certificate for that, then we'll make it completely different. There are ways of methods of doing that also. So I think we should get a feedback to you before the next class starts from all of you. Those who are really interested to continue or not continue, there's no problem at all. Do a favor, write a small note. No need to put your name or anything else. There is no need to put your name. Inform madam if you're from the college. If other than, you can send a message. There's nothing wrong in it, because we are not asking anything else from you. We want to know which all points you didn't understand. I am willing to repeat everything and explain you. But don't tell me electrical engineers will understand better. I cannot understand. I am electrical engineer, so I cannot understand. Computer engineer will understand. Don't do that, because you're not expert of that. That is something I cannot understand. Don't tell me because I am an electrical engineer, I cannot understand this. No, don't tell me. You're not even an electronic engineer if you can't have logic. So my argument with you is, simple common sense person must be able to understand. Maybe I'm speaking fast, my language is problem, or I'm not able to explain proper way. These are all possibilities exist. But don't tell me your qualification is important to understand till now, all the 5 classes what I have conducted. You want to have it, all of them? I think 3 of them on YouTube. I can upload. Last 2 are pending, and this also I can upload on the YouTube. You see it again, and then tell me your opinion in written form before we continue, because it is going to be more important. I tell you, for example, I would like to talk to you just to tell you, not to confuse you, tell you what I planned. Okay, I think you've written the all the you've seen what is written already, document given before the program starting. But I tell you till now, this you listen carefully. What we try to explain, what I try to explain you is what is electronics, what is electricity. I try to explain you what are the basic components that are used, like valves, pipes, pumps, fittings in your home appliance, home water line. Like that, I told you electricity line, which are all the main things are used, and how they are fitting different valves for different purposes. This we call transistors, all those things I explained. If you didn't understand much, no problem. Again, we can go back to the basics. We can recap those things you didn't understand. There's no problem at all. Anybody, this, what I taught, must be any person without even electrical, electronic knowledge or any qualification must be able to understand. That is my wish. That is the intention of the whole talk also. So what I would suggest, give a chance to read again from the YouTube. Twice, thrice you see it. Those who don't understand, you really want to learn that. You want to become IoT to make a project, or you want to make it in life something to work with. Don't think IoT is only software guys will write, and or don't think electronic expert only design a board. They give me, I will write only software. That's idiotic. It's really idiotic, which doesn't happen actually. It's not possible. Those who work on it will tell you it is not possible. But in a company, yes, you're getting salaries, you're getting much salaries, they employ you. Because most of the companies, only 1 or 2% really work. The rest of them are technical marketing, documentation, all the stuff. I am more keen on the core people who want to learn and create things. Because that is where, now what we learned, second part of it, now we learned, till now is about, just now we learned digital. Why digital? What is a digital? And what are the small parts required, operations in digital required. We learn how analog digital. Today we try to learn just the basic of what should be a microcontroller. We have not come to communication still. The communication with the controller combined with communication, and that is called IoT. So we are still talking about your simple like your cell phone inside operation. So we are not come to programming. And you don't require to be expert in programming to learn programming for IoT. No, it's not required. You have to follow each class what I spent. You must follow at least 50% of them. If you follow 50% of them, you will know it 100%. We can go ahead and do that job. So we have to, for example, we are talking instrumentation. Some of you must be instrumentation. What is a Modbus? How do you use a Modbus? Tell me. This is the actually today plan. I will just show you because I'm not just a second. I'll put the slide and show you. Today I have planned actually for teaching on Modbus to you also, part of the protocols to continue. Like you saw just now the CAN protocol. There is something called Modbus protocol. I think I'll put on, just show you the slide to you to show right now what are the things you have to learn actually, which I planned actually, which next you will learn. Okay, you will learn about connectivity protocols now. Okay, controller will not only help. You have to learn about what is RFID, all these things you will learn. And then you come back to connectivity, RS-232 only. Yesterday we tried to explain a little bit. Okay, now you have to understand about LIN bus, which are used in automobile very heavily. Then you have to RS-232, RS-485. All the industry will use it. You can't call yourself an instrumentation guy, get out with a degree. I remember long back somebody told me, if you're a degree holder, put a sticker on your head, forehead, and go, I'm a B. Or behave in such a way that others understand your education, you're educated. So if which one you follow. Second one you follow, you have to know this. If you don't know this RS-485, you're a dead person in industry. And when you come to the comparison of why RS-232, RS-485, you have to understand. You have to understand what is Ethernet. Ethernet is not enough. Actually, when you go to communication work, you have the CAN network is very popular. Lift industry, any lift, house lift, everything uses CAN bus. So we are unaware of it. But how are you going to tell your instrumentation fellow you don't know about CAN bus? That what is the principle at least? You're not going to work detail into protocols. And then you come back to different type of, like what I was supposed to talk now, I2C, SPI. SPI is very powerful. How will you connect your EEPROM? Whether you use Arduino or anything you use it, you will use I2C. So you have to understand what is I2C basic. Just name will not help you. So, and then you have to learn what is about RFID, and then different. I'll come back to when you come to protocols, it will be completely different. See, this all you need LTE and NB-IoT, everything you have to understand basics to work with IoT. You cannot just say because I get data on my cell phone, it is IoT. How it is coming using all this technology. Then we come to protocols actually. When you come back to protocol, you have to understand what is a protocol. This I want to explain to you people. Without the understanding, you cannot work with protocols. So there is a TCP, how your chat box works, how TCP, basic principles. And protocols of Modbus. Modbus, if you don't understand, you can't use anything instrument. And it's very simple to understand. Only you must have inclination. Yes, I will listen to what is told as a Modbus here. So I'm trying to explain you the basic principles. So Modbus is very important for any industrial application. In Modbus, there are different variations of the protocols. Again, ASCII protocol, like I told you, CAN bus already, CAN protocol. These are all, I think, some of the things which we have to go before we touch the programming. Otherwise, no, it's just turning on one LED, turning on one relay, and sending some data on the cell phone, showing that I do IoT, will not make you a real a person knowledgeable little bit at least. Even if you are not going to design an IoT, for sure you are useless to even be involved in the team because you don't understand the basic of it. So that is the reason why I'm trying to explain it from beginning. When we had about 120, 130 people want to join, I was hesitant actually to continue with so much people because the real interest must come that you want to understand as simple. I would love you because you have spent a lot of time till now at least. This is the I think the sixth who are going to be. So it's quite some time you have spent, 12 hours. So we talked plans for about 20 sessions total, including the project. So we are coming closer to it because last 5, 6 sessions will be only for your project. So I already planned to give a kit to you or suggest you can buy a small kit, very low cost. And there you can practice exactly the examples what we learn now. You can try, for example, a CAN bus, how it works. If not individually, maybe join together, 2 of you. You can make a small project of including how to measure the frequency or PM, how to measure the temperature. Then, of course, you will learn also software, how to bring it out on the net. So we have some servers. I can put in the HTTP protocol, how data has to go, and how you have to also get the data on your cell phone. A simple programming. You know, the expert in cell phone program to go. They are all experts will take care of who likes a specific line. But I think this is the intention what I want to do it. So now I think I will leave it to you people to decide and tell what type of shape this particular training program must take. And I will leave Madam Shobana to decide. My submission would be that you write a small note to her, all of you. So now it's time has come. I think only seriously interested are there now at least because I look at least 4. I'm getting attendance of each day, but I'm not shared with anyone. So I myself want to find out really how serious people are. So I think around 15, 16 people are quite serious, looks like to me, but I want them to understand. So now, madam, any suggestions from your side?
I get a feedback from the participants and I report to you, sir. Participants,
yeah.
you can also report. You can also put it in a chat box.
You can put in
What
the group
program?
also.
What
No,
the
group.
program is.
You can put in the
Okay.
group also, because
But without if you are not understanding, it is difficult to take forward.
yeah, we are, all will be wasting time. What I say is, you also sitting there because your teacher told or something maybe, or you thought. So it is important this stage. I don't bother you didn't understand op-amps. I don't really bother much, because you'll pick up anyway. If you attended the class, you'll something when I tell afterwards, you'll remember. If you listened out of 2 hours, at least 1 hour, what I spoke, or you can listen back again in YouTube, you will be able to pick up later on. But if you don't understand this digital concept, what I'm talking, will be difficult. So you have to learn that. Maybe you have to tell me which are the points you understood, which are the points you didn't understand. That will help me. That's all. I will put it on the YouTube. Another 3 will be there. There means 3 more. I will add it. I'll try to add it by tomorrow. By tomorrow evening, it will be up. So you can see all the 5. I'll put in one of the. I'll put in our group also where it is there. You can see it again and give me the feedback by at least by Thursday. Because the kids, all what I suggest, we have to start working. Will take another 2 weeks. Okay, then we have to start working towards the direction. So I prefer that madam gets the feedback from the students, and then we continue.
I get feedback from the students. As well as feedback, you can post your views in the WhatsApp group also. Participants, you can post your views in the WhatsApp group also. Whether SAR should continue for the next communication part, or she should explain some other part also, and then we can go for it. Okay. Nandini இருக்கீங்களா மேடம்?
She's there. She's there. Yeah.
Hello.
We can change, madam. We can change the timing also if it is comfortable, because now the group is small, so you can conveniently find out the timing of the people who want to join only. Because that's very important now, according to me. We have to find out real interest, people who want to learn. Even if they are few, no problem. We can talk to them the timing and then put. And I want to find out how much they know already, or how much they want to learn. What is this is important, I think, because I know today will be a little bit tough, because others are stories. This is also story, but I think.
Nandini V, can you put feedback? Nitish, Nandini V, Anish, Ritti. Anybody is there? Nitya Priya. ஆன்லைன் கிளாஸ்ல உட்காந்துருக்க மாதிரி இங்கே உட்காந்துருக்கீங்கப்பா. ஃபீட்பேக் ஒன்றும் கொடுக்க மாட்டேங்கிறீங்க. ஆன்லைன் கிளாஸ்க்கு இதுக்கு வித்தியாசம் இருக்குல்ல. ஃபேன் ஆன் பண்ணிட்டு மட்டும் போயிடுவீங்களா ஆன்லைன் கிளாஸ் இருக்கிற மாதிரி?
It's very strange for me, because when I studied, we also few people will be there, but there'll be some interaction, and this is because of this all internet stuff, there is no interaction. And I know this also. I contact very often other webinars. People turn on and then go away.
Yes,
They
sir.
want this. We all know.
Already in the classrooms, most of the people are like that way.
Yeah.
They will be turning on and they will go off somewhere. For
I think
attendance sake, for attendance
I,
sake, they will come.
they think we don't know. We know we are old people. We know very well how how the student mind will work. We have
Yes,
done
sir.
that also similar. So that is not the issue. The issue is we have to find now, because otherwise now it will be like those who are interested. Even there are 5, 6, no problem. I will have it with them. With them separately we can have. Rest of them no need to be forced to be there. And they have to interact and tell straight away, this I understand, don't understand. Our timing is not right. We'll change the timing, because now it is actually more of concentration required to look, because they are all going to directly impact the work we are going to do. So if you don't understand the small, you need not understand how completely works, but you must understand the concept and make small notes. But I don't think, my opinion, anybody is making notes in this group. I don't think so. At least maybe a couple of them could be, but I don't want to say nobody. But I don't think significant people or number of people are not very keen in this. And I think that's okay. There's no problem at all. We find a review now again. Let them post the group. I will close this meeting just now. It's also almost 40. So we'll think it over, and then we get the
Just
feedback.
put it in YouTube, sir. Whether
Yeah.
these people will go and then
Yeah.
let them join. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
let afterwards let them tell the opinion.
Okay,
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, thank you, all of you,
Thank
for patiently listening. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Okay.
sir.
Okay.